Hey Tiger fans, we're back with another episode of TigerCast, the official podcast of Towson Athletics. I'm Laura Leidick with the Towson Sports Network, and I'm joined by Tessa Peloso and Jenna Wheats. Tessa, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Laura. Happy to be back. How are you?
Good. It's a gross day outside with the snow and stuff. So
No, a little snow day here in Towson.
Yeah, and Jenna, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Same thing here. It's really snowy outside, but we got a day off of practice, so it's kind of nice to have my body rest before the meet tomorrow. So that's exciting.
What are you looking forward to going into that meet?
Well, just coming off of our last meet, we got our season high, and it was really fun, and it was exciting to see like the potential of what our team has to do, and we're really looking forward to just keep that going and have it like be present again in the next meets coming up.
So just to give the listeners a little bit of a background, what's your major? Where are you from?
I'm from Norwell, Massachusetts. It's a small town about 30 minutes from Boston, and I'm a communications major, so.
And what year are you at Towson?
Sophomore.
What are you hoping to do with your communications degree?
I'm not really sure yet. I'm a really indecisive person, so it took me a while to really even come up with the major I wanted to do. So I'm thinking with like communications, since it's a very broad like topic or degree, I really could go into a lot of different things. So hopefully within these next couple of years, I'll be able to really figure out what I want to do.
Yeah, and you're a sophomore, correct?
Yes.
So I was reading on the gymnastics page that with the East Atlantic Gymnastics League, you were just named Specialist of the Week.
Yeah, this past week I got Specialist of the Week, and then my teammate Camille also got Gymnast of the Week. So it's exciting for two of us to really get these awards this week.
Jenna, how do you keep this momentum going coming off a big win last week? You said it was your team's highest score going into this quad meet. How do you guys keep that energy up?
Well, this part of the season probably is like one of the most difficult times, just to like keep going and have motivation, just because like kind of the excitement and like the beginning of the season jitters are kind of gone. And it gets to like all these double weekends where we have so many meets and people are starting to get tired. So I think what our team really tries to do is really just focus on how well we did last week and keep that confidence in coming in this week and making sure that like during practices we just kind of coast through and we're still consistent in all of our events and everything.
What's your favorite event to do?
To practice, probably my favorite event is beam, but I like competing floor better just because beam sometimes is a little nerve-wracking just because a lot of things could go wrong. But I mean, if you just stay calm and confident in yourself, it usually is still okay.
Do you like beam because it's one of your best events, and then you like floor because it's the most fun?
Yeah, so beam, even growing up through high school and club gymnastics, has always been one of my better events. I never really was nervous to try new skills on beam. I was always like excited just to try new things. And then for floor, I just like, it's like more fun because you get to like show your personality and dance around. And it's more like exciting, like you're playing to an audience more than just having to focus in on like just your skills.
Do you feel like you get to showcase your skills more on floor?
Yeah, to an extent, because it's not just like strictly your tumbling skills that you're able to show. You can show like leap passes and like dance and choreography too.
So when you're going into meets, do you have like a pre-meet like ritual? Do you listen to like certain songs? Do you have like just a certain like way you go about going into a meet?
Well, starting throughout the whole day, it's kind of like a long process just for gymnastics because we like make our hair done, like all braids, and do our makeup and whatever. But my favorite part would be while we're like getting ready in the locker room, like everyone's always playing music and getting like hype before the meet and just getting excited. And that's like my favorite part to do, like just to get us excited right before the meet starts. And then once we get started, it's really like, we really try to focus and like mentally set in so that we're just like looking out for ourselves and our own gymnastics and not worrying about like teams around us.
With that, because of COVID, obviously things have changed. So what changes are you seeing prior to the meets and at practices?
It's definitely a lot different. Probably my least favorite thing that we have to do is that we can't really have any like physical contact. So like in last year, we used to like always give high fives and like huge hugs when everyone did good at the end of the routines. And now we're just like doing air high fives. And it's definitely different, the like setting in the atmosphere from it, because you don't have that crowd like cheering you on and we used to always scream to the parents being like TOW, and they would reply like SON. And it's just like definitely different from last year and the whole setting from it.
So you really feel that absence of the fans?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, we were there last week at the meet, and we see how excited you guys get when one of your teammates performs. I love watching that because the team, like, chemistry all together, and even though it's the air high fives, you could tell that your team chemistry is so close and you guys bond really well.
Yeah, our whole team is super close. I mean, we have basically 2 like gymnastics houses. So I live with 3 other gymnasts, and then the house right down the street is also 4 more gymnasts. And we always hang out with each other and try and have fun together, which just makes us closer. And then we also see everybody working so hard in the gym. So when their work finally pays off at the meet, it's like not possible to not get excited. Like.
Right. And you mentioned that you're living with 3 gymnasts. You always hang out with the other 4 that live down the street. In Towson, like, what do you guys like to do with your free time? I know it's probably not a lot, but.
Yeah, it's definitely harder this year just because we can't go out to like eat or anything like that. But usually, even if it's just like hanging out and doing like homework together, sitting at the table and just like being with each other, or like watching. I know a couple of my teammates always watch like The Bachelor together every Monday and stuff like that. It's like little things like that we get to do that really brings us closer together.
I mean, when I worked my first gymnastics meet because I'm still kind of new with TSN. And I mean, just the atmosphere, like you guys were like dancing around, you guys were getting ready. It was just so like,
it was so high.
The energy is so high. It's like, I just love like working them. Like, do you think that atmosphere can be so high because you guys are so close?
I think definitely it is in that sense, because everyone's always excited for each other and really just hoping that everyone does their best for themselves and for the team. And just, I think everybody on the team also has like very fun, upbeat personalities. Like no one's really like down. Like everyone really likes to have fun at these meets. And also when we do have fun, it makes it easier to like get through the entire meet. Like, and really, even if something goes wrong during on one event, like everyone tries to pick it back up and really make it better and more exciting for like the people who have to compete next.
Switching gears a little bit, how old were you when you started gymnastics?
I think I took my first class when I was 5 years old, and then I started competing when I was 6. So it's been basically my whole life, and it's kind of crazy how long it's been now.
On your page, it says you're from Massachusetts, so you're obviously a New England fan.
Yes, very big.
So off topic, but how did you feel about Tom Brady leaving?
Definitely strange, definitely weird. I didn't really know how I felt about it at first because, I mean, he was the quarterback since I was born, so it's really the only person I've ever known, and it was definitely strange to see Cam Newton in the quarterback position this year. But I mean, I don't have any hard feelings for him. He's doing great in the Bucs, so I'm happy for him, I guess. I don't know.
Going back to what Laura said, you started gymnastics, and you said you were 5, you were competing at 6. What made you fall in love with the sport?
Well, growing up, I always liked to do crazy things. Like I like climbing up trees. I was very active, like running around. And I used to take dance classes, and actually my teacher, like my dance instructor, like recommended to my parents that I was put into gymnastics classes because I was always doing cartwheels around and running around. And just from then on, like even when I would try new things, my parents would always be like, okay, Jenna, like you have to focus on one, like you can't do all these things all at once. And I would always just pick back to gymnastics just because I always had so much fun, like flipping around.
With gymnastics, like I feel like that's one of the most like nerve-wracking when I'm watching it, and like they're especially on bars. When I'm watching them on bars and you're like flipping around, I'm like, oh, it gives me anxiety for it, like, you know.
Oh, I get nervous watching Beam.
Sorry, what?
I said I get nervous watching Beam.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I hold my breath when I watch you guys compete. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I get so nervous.
Yeah, we get that a lot. Like all the parents will come up and like say how much more nervous they are when we actually go to. I think it's just because like we know how everyone like trains, and we also have been watching the sport for so long that we can tell when people are like.
You guys obviously know better than us, people who are not.
Yeah.
Gymnastics, but I mean, watching you guys and watching you nail it, it's like, oh, yes.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Awesome. Like, I get so excited.
Yeah.
And with that, like starting out with gymnastics, like obviously, like, did you have like, were you nervous, like doing the, like learning the different events?
It's crazy. I know a lot of people who usually have to go through like mental blocks and stuff like that, but I've been really lucky. Like I never had any huge fears like going up and trying new skills, which I think definitely played to my advantage now. And yes, going into competition is always a little nerve-wracking. Like you never know exactly what's going to happen. But you've been training all these skills for so long that if you just think about like how many routines and skills that you've actually hit versus like messed up on, like the number's always higher or else you wouldn't be at the place that you are now. So if you just like focus in on that sense, then it helps take those nerves away.
You said you've had a few mental blocks, obviously, over the years, which comes with the territory of competing. Have you ever thought to yourself, like, throughout your years of gymnastics, oof, like maybe, is this for me? Can I do it? Have you ever doubted yourself in a way?
Yeah, definitely. I think that a lot of people, like a lot of gymnasts in general, always go through a phase in their life when they're like, I've been training so long, so hard. Like, is it really worth it? Like, am I getting anything out of this? Will I make it to college gymnastics?
Right.
And things like that. But I don't know. I guess you just always have to like keep pushing and believe that it will get better. And you are doing this for a reason. And now that I'm in college, like I see how all those years have finally paid off, and I'm having the best time of my life here. It's so much fun.
What kind of went into that decision to come to Towson?
So living in Massachusetts, I always knew that I wanted to go like a little bit far away from home. Like nothing really was keeping me. Obviously I love my family and I am close with them, but I just wanted to get like a new atmosphere somewhere where like I didn't know everyone that I was going to go like from my high school at college. So I was looking into other programs right around like the whole like Maryland, New Jersey area. And something about Towson, like I came to the campus and it was like, I love the campus, everything's so beautiful there. And then also just like meeting the team, like before I came here, everyone already did seem so close and friendly with one another. And that was something that I actually really liked. And I wanted to be close with my team and not to have like too many like drama or like anything, like any issues on the team either.
And also you mentioned training. So what does your training look like? What is a typical day for you?
So now that we're in season, we start practice at around 11:15, and we usually do a quick warm up and some like basic skills just to get our bodies warm. And then our coach day will usually go over the assignments we have. And so basically you prioritize what event you go to based on which like you're most likely to be in lineup for. So I typically went like beam, floor, vault. And so then every like assignment is a little bit different. And then sometimes it varies per person based on like how like everyone's personal injuries and other like skills. So yeah, so once we usually go to assignments, we're usually done around 3:15. And on lift days, we'll go to lift right after. And our coach is Zach, and he's great. He always pushes us to do our best. But then also, like, since we are in season, he doesn't want to push us too hard so that we're like sore and we can't perform as well as we want to. And that's typically our practice day. And then we usually would just come home and like finish any homework we have, or like, yeah, I guess finish our homework and study and everything.
So you're practicing, you said 11 to 3. How do you juggle like classes, homework, assignments, practice, meets? Like what has been the easy, like what like organizational skills have you learned through juggling all that?
And do you feel like it's easier with online schooling now?
I think it's definitely easier with online schooling because you don't have to like spend time like walking to class, and it's more individualized and you can focus it based on your own time. And I think gymnasts in general have like pretty good time management skills because these like 4-hour practices aren't new to us. Like we've been working them all throughout high school. And when you go to school, like in high school for like 6 or 7 hours a day, and then you go straight to practice after, you kind of learn then how to manage your time and when to really get your homework in and study. So coming into college was definitely like a little difficult because I mean, the classes are different and it's all individualized and on your own. But I think just growing up in the like atmosphere and the time management skills that I gained through that really helped me and like helped me be able to like prioritize what classes I need to do and like when to study and do homework and when to like just relax and hang out with my roommates.
What do you think has been the biggest thing you've learned with being a college athlete and a college student at the same time?
Probably the biggest thing that I learned was probably just how different it is from high school. Like, yes, I did mention that like we did have the time management thing, but I remember coming into college thinking like, oh, I'll only have like one or two classes a day. It'll like be completely different, like not as hard. Like I don't have as much work, but it really is different in the fact that like, yeah, you might not be going to class as much, but you are going to have extra work and time on your hands. And so that involved with just going to practice every day really showed me like how much you really can get done in a day and how much time and effort you will have to put in being a student athlete. And it's not always like fun and just like laying around doing nothing. You do have to put a lot of hard work into it, but it's definitely doable and definitely manageable.
What has been a challenge that you've had to overcome, either just in gymnastics or being a student athlete?
A challenge that I probably had to overcome was probably freshman year first coming in. I remember it's hard because you're living in the dorms, like your six best friends are living right near you, and you really have to figure out the time when it's like okay to socialize and it's okay to like have fun with your friends, but you also need to know when it is time to study and when you have to like pull away and really focus on
Prioritize.
Yeah, prioritizing.
Especially freshman year.
Yeah, it was definitely a big change that first semester.
What has been, I know you're only a sophomore, but is there a time that has really like stuck out like as a memorable moment for you so far?
Probably it would be last year. It was one of like the last meets before we all got shut down because of COVID. And it was the weekend before, it was our first double weekend. And I remember the whole year our team kind of struggled with all hitting at once and being collectively like having a good day at the same time. And I remember it was like the Friday, our alumni meet. We all went out there and did all of our like best routines we possibly could. And to see that just as a freshman, like see all of our work finally paid off, it was like just so fun. I think it'll be a moment that I like will remember like for the rest of my 4 years. And then it was a double weekend. So on Sunday we like recreated that and um like did that moment again and we all hit again and that was just cool. Unfortunately, we were shut down right after, but I think it was like the best way we could have possibly gone out before COVID hit.
What were you feeling with the shutdown with COVID?
It was definitely hard at first, like that whole week in advance, like everything happened so fast. Like I feel like COVID was just introduced to like the United States within like a week. And I remember going on practice, then our senior meet getting shut down, and then like the whole school was shut down. And it was very fast. And it was definitely like, it was hard because I felt like I never really finished my freshman year. Like I still think about it. I'm like, I can't believe I'm a sophomore. I feel like I'm still like a freshman, like not like, because I still never had conferences or anything like that. So it was definitely hard to like come in sophomore year and be like, I feel like I didn't really know what I was like, what year I was yet. Cause I'd be like, I feel like I can't be a sophomore yet. Like I just started school, but I'm also not a freshman either. Cause
right. Now, how are you training over quarantine?
It was hard. So I was out, we didn't have any gyms open from March to like the end of June. And wow. Coming back was definitely difficult because usually with gymnastics, even like taking 2 weeks off, it's like a lot more difficult to like come back, just like losing like your air awareness and like spatial awareness and everything. And coming back was probably one of the most difficult things like that I've had to do just because we still didn't know if we were going to have a season this year. And then also I was just like trying to regain my skills, like regain grip strength and just like the little things that you wouldn't think did a lot different, but like they really helped tremendously with gymnastics. So it took probably about like 2 or 3 months just to feel like strong enough and like ready enough to be like back to where I was before I like left.
So with quarantine, were you doing like being like having to be in the house and stuff? Were you just like running around the block, like trying to do little things like in your, like, what was that like?
It was definitely different. Yeah, I did my own little like workouts like at my house. I did go on for a couple runs and like, but I actually went on a lot of bike rides and stuff like that. And it was definitely different. Like I never really had to like work out on my own in a sense of like having to come up with my own workouts. I always had someone give, like my coaches give them to me. So it was definitely a different type of like atmosphere. And it was also just like finding the motivation to work out too, because usually I would just go straight to practice and I'd be like, oh, well, here's my workout for the day. But I had to like come up with my own time to really do that.
With the quarantine and not like before you guys could go back to practice, how were you keeping in touch with your coaches and just your teammates?
I usually texted a lot of my teammates and like FaceTime them a couple times, especially my whole sophomore class. We're all pretty close. And then our coaches were actually really understanding. They were like, we understand that this is a crazy time and like we don't really know what's going to happen in the future. So like if you can get back into a gym as soon as possible, that's great. But I also understand like there's a whole pandemic going on. We don't expect you guys to be like right back and ready to go, like meet competition ready as soon as we get back to school. So they were really understanding and like helpful to work with you when we first came back.
Did you end up going back to Massachusetts or did you stay in Towson?
Yeah, so I went back home for all of quarantine and then I moved back in mid-August.
Being back home when gyms started reopening again, were you able to go back to like some of your like older gyms that you were like where you started?
Yeah, I went back to my club gym and it was crazy just to see all of my old teammates who were younger than me. And it was like almost surreal because it was like I like haven't been in practice in this place in so long and I was so used to practicing here at Towson that it was just like cool and interesting like experience just to go back and see how they're all doing and how times have changed since I moved on.
What goals have you set for yourself for this season and your next few years at Towson?
Goals that we've set first as a team is really just to keep doing our best and like having to like push towards everyone hitting at the same time and doing our best for teams. And me personally, I want to continue like on this stride that I'm at where I'm like consistent and doing like the skills that I have. And I want to be able to like perform and do those skills over the next couple of years as well. And I just want personally for Towson Gymnastics to move up in the rankings and to be more like noticeable and like known as for other schools to like see. And like I want girls that are trying to get recruited into see and in club gymnastics to see Towson Gymnastics and be like, oh, that's a school I want to go to. They're really good. They're really close. They really are setting the standards high for me to be there. And I just want other people to want to come to Towson as much as I did.
So with your going into the meet tomorrow, what like have you set like a small goal for just yourself?
Every meet we go into, we always plan on just beating ourselves. On every event, you just want to do a little bit better than what you did in the past, whether it's just like having a straighter leg or focusing on your landings, just to see those little improvements throughout every meet.
That's a great way to look at it.
Tessa, any final thoughts?
No final thoughts. Just it's been amazing watching you and your teammates perform and compete. Best of luck this weekend, and I'm sure we'll see you soon.
That's a wrap on this week's episode. Thank you, Tessa, for joining me, and Jenna, thank you for your time, and good luck with the rest of your season. Tiger fans, thanks for listening. Be on the lookout for another episode of TigerCast where we take you beyond the game. For the Towson Sports Network, I'm Laura Leidig, and as always, go Tigers.